what's up there, YouTubers and viewers out there? My name is Brian, aka Gamer55551, and I am back with a My 2 Cent Switch/gaming video for this week, where I take a look at some of the stories that caught my attention and give you my thoughts and my opinion about them. So why don't we get started with this week's My 2 Cent video, and we'll start with the first one, and this one has to do with, of course, Octopath Traveler again, though. Now, last week I did a video talking about basically Octopath Traveler in terms of doing well in terms of sales, including in both the UK and in Japan, with the issues of it still having a hard time, people in Japan still having a hard time trying to find the game, at least in the physical form. Well, apparently this week we got some more information about that, and not only have we seen the game kind of slip, at least on the Media Crate charts, where supposedly it dropped down to number 2 in the UK, where it has sort of dropped out of the top 10, although I heard somewhere that in France it was number 1. In Japan, though, apparently people are still having a hard time trying to get their hands on a physical copy of Octopath Traveler. So in several different articles, again, I'll have a link in the description, you could check it out. One of the highlights, this was from dotspot.com, if I'm saying the name correctly, points out about how Octopath Traveler restock sells out in just 3 hours. Last week, Square Enix Japanese Twitter account issued apologies to fans who couldn't secure any copies of Octopath Traveler, and it seems like it will be the first apology of many. After huge demand, there was a brief restock at retailer Yoshiba Camera, if I'm saying the name correctly, one of Japan's biggest video game electronics stores. The restocks of Square Enix Dark Horse Switch hit end up selling out in just 3 hours. And so this prompted another apology tweet from Square Enix saying that additional games indeed will be shipping out whenever it's possible. But publishers stated that fans can simply download the game via the Nintendo Switch eShop if they want to play it immediately. So, and there are several articles pointing that out, though. So honestly, I have to say I'm pretty amazed at this game, at least in Japan, though, that it's still very hard to get a hand on a physical copy. I mean, on one hand, they must be really happy that this game is doing that well, though. But at the same time, it does worry me kind of bit if they constantly have to apologize if they start running out of stocks. And I'm worried how much of that could impact them maybe in the long run. I mean, I'm sure there are people who are buying the game via the Nintendo eShop and so forth, but at the same time, I'm sure I can see why a lot of people want that physical copy as well, to have that like whole thing, like that game in their hands, to be exact. I mean, it's just pretty amazing that they're running into shipping issues on this. Although I have seen in some places it looks like they still have copies, at least here in the US as far as I'm aware of, although I could be completely wrong on that. But still, it does blow my mind that they're still having issues with this, though. I do hope Square Enix is able to address this shortage issue. And obviously, I think I said this before last week, and I'll say it this week as well. Obviously, Square Enix must be really, really happy with the game being this success that it is, though. But still, it does worry me that if they constantly keep apologizing for the fact that they can't keep up with the demand, though, it does make me wonder if people are simply just going to give up on trying to hunt down a physical copy of trying to get the game, or they, like I said, they could go through the Nintendo eShop to get them, but there may be some who figure they don't want to do that at all and just give up right away. So far, we haven't run into that situation yet, but still, it does worry that that kind of situation could happen. But overall, it seems to be doing very well so far. Square Enix must be happy, though, but still, the supply and demand situation is still there, and I'm hoping they can address that problem, though. But it could become an issue if they don't start addressing it soon. So hopefully it is something they are trying to get their hands on, trying to fix though. Still, it is very good that the game is doing very well, and here's the hoping that it maybe convince them to that does well enough that convince them to do maybe an Octopath Traveler 2 to be exact, or Square Enix putting more support into the Nintendo Switch. But either way, game is still selling out in Japan. Great, but at the same time, people are having a hard time trying to get their hands on a physical copy, at least in Japan. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to get to part 2 of our video, and this one's going to be talking about an update that Epic Games has done with Unreal Engine 4, not only for the Nintendo Switch, but something that we could see possibly in the next gen, often referred to as the Uncanny Valley, if I'm saying the name correctly though. So we'll take a quick break and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of our video, and for this one we're going to be taking a look at a recent update that just came out for the Unreal Engine 4. So I'm sure most of you are aware, a lot of the games that have come out, whether it's on the PS4, Xbox One, Switch, or PC, some of those games are powered by Epic Games' Unreal Engine 4 to be exact, and of course the Nintendo Switch is also a system that currently supports the Unreal Engine 4. Well, now it looks like Unreal Engine 4 has gotten an update to Unreal Engine 4.20, if I'm saying the name correctly though, and it brought up 2 interesting things. So we'll start with the first one, has to do with the Nintendo Switch. According to, I believe I'm saying the site right, segmentnext.com, again, the link in the description, it writes out that Unreal Engine 4.20 update was just announced by Epic Games, and not only does it affect the performance of the platform on PC, but also provides developers with new Nintendo Switch optimizations and improvement. Epic Games released tons of performance and memory improvement built for Fortnite on the Nintendo Switch to all Unreal Engine developers. Sorry about that one. Sorry, excuse me. I was a yawn and I couldn't even stop. I apologize for that though. This means that games that are coming to the Nintendo Switch that are based on the Unreal Engine will be able to take advantage of these new features, which are including as follow: support for dynamic, if I'm saying the name correctly, apologize if I'm not, resolution and temporary upsampling, if I'm sorry, I must have read that wrong. Low latency frame syncing for controller input, significant CPU rendering optimization, improvement to threading, better texture compression, support for memory profiling, profiling, back buffer support for 1080p while in dock mode, nice, and many other fixes. So this is nice. This is certainly nice to basically get all these updates for the Switch version for Unreal Engine 4. Hopefully this will lead to basically improving maybe some of the development for the Nintendo Switch. The part that says better texting compression, I'm hoping that's the case where we don't have to see the constant, they ship the game and then you have to download the rest kind of a situation though. We'll have to wait and see, but overall, nice that the Nintendo Switch and basically those who are developing for the Nintendo Switch and are using the Unreal Engine 4 are able to update to 4.20. Speaking of 4.20, apparently there's going to be some new that this feature could be used for, say, in future games or something like that. Basically, it's titled, and this is from WCCFtech.com, which is titled, Epic Programmer says next generation consoles will enable developers to cross the Uncanny Valley, which, according to them, they write, in case you're not familiar with the Uncanny Valley concept, it's the idea that humanoids which appear almost but not exactly real can elicit, ELICIT, apologize, I can't say that name correctly, repulsive, Repulsion in viewers. It was first hypnotized by Japanese robotic Masaru Mora and has since been applied to other fields, including real-time 3-dimension computer graphics. So, it basically, the article writes, though, in an interview published by GameBeat, Epic Games CTO, Chief Technical Officer, addressed the ever-present topic of the uncanny valley, which he believes will be successfully crossed with the next generation of consoles. It says, quote, "Obviously, it would be better right now when we do the demos to get the game running at 60 frames per second or at VR frame rate. We end up needing a pretty beefy graphics card to render all the hair. But if you have a character that doesn't need actual individual splinters of hair, you could run that on a modern PS4 or Xbox One. When we start seeing next generation, whatever that is, the uncanny valley is going to be crossed into video games." So, and it's going to end up being not about your technical experience to make these things. That technique will become ubiquitous over time. It's got to be about telling an awesome story where people will want to watch the face get involved and to do interesting things. So obviously he's pointing out that depending that you could run this off of on the modern PlayStation or Xbox, that means PS4 or Xbox One, but obviously there would have to be some changes and some compromise. I assume that also means, although I'm not a technical expert, I assume that also means that it's possible to run something like that on the Nintendo Switch, but obviously you would have to make some adjustments for that to pull off. He also said, following the interview's question, he referred to the impressive Siren demonstration, which Epic shared at Game Developers Conference GDC in 2018. I'll have a link in the description. You could check out what that Siren that's video that they showed. That we could expect games using the same technology through Unreal Engine 4.20 in the next year or so. It quote, "Almost everybody that has a digital human character in their game is taking advantage of Siren. All the skin shade work that we did was taken into Siren shipping with 4.20. There's a bunch of stuff that I probably can't mention yet. As always, the facial animation and facial modeling experts are making their work better and better. I think you can see some pretty exciting stuff over the next 12 months. Although there are some pretty, the nice thing is we shipped Unreal Engine with the source code. We're not the only people writing shaders. People have done work themselves with the code. There's some skin stuff that, as I said, I can't disclose, but I've seen some pretty amazing stuff out there." So, I've seen the demo of what they were showing though, and honestly, I will say it's impressive. I mean, it does open the door to the possibility of what kind of visuals they can make into a lot of games and so forth. So it definitely looks nice. At the same time, there are two areas I'm kind of worried about. One is to be that while this demo looks nice and it will be very interesting to see how future games will look on it, I'm worried at the same time that this could also put like maybe gameplay on the side and all, as we've seen in cases like, say, the Order 1886, where visually it looked great on the PS4, but it lacked the gameplay, and I'm worried that that could be the case with this kind of situation. Though I will admit, it's too early to tell if we run into that kind of situation. Another one, and this was brought up by Rich from Review Tech USA. Again, I don't always 100% agree with his videos, and I'm kind of mixed with this one, and this has to do with how this technology could be put into the wrong hands. And he showed a clip of how someone used that to create Barack Obama. What it turned out to be, it looked so real, but it turned out to be fake, and it turned out to be an actor doing his voice and all that stuff. And while, yeah, I still think it's a little too early to tell if we see this fall into the wrong hands or not. So yeah, it can be a bit worrisome about this whole uncanny valley thing, but I don't want to jump the gun and say that, oh, we should be worried about that something like this can happen or not. I will say it is visually impressive though, and it will be very interesting to see what games come out of it that use this kind of technology. And the fact that it could be used in the modern PS4 and Xbox One, and possibly the Nintendo Switch, although I'm not 100% sure about that, though. It is kind of interesting to see how those will work on those systems, although, again, obviously some modifications, some changes would have to be made. But the fact that we could see something like this in, say, the PS5 and the Xbox 2 is very, very interesting indeed. As long as gameplay is not compromised in any way, as long as gameplay is still first and foremost, I'm definitely interested to see developers, how they use this technology and so forth. So overall, Switch got an update to Unreal Engine 4.20. Hopefully those who are developing games on the Switch using Unreal Engine 4, hopefully this helps them. And it will be interesting to see how the Uncanny Valley plays out with this demo and so forth, and see how developers take advantage of this technology and so on. Like I said, hopefully that it doesn't compromise gameplay, and hopefully that developers make sure to put gameplay first before they do, the graphics. For me, I'm always gameplay first and graphics second. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to get to part 3 of our video, and this one has to do with a new Nintendo Labo that Nintendo just recently announced. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 3 of our video, and for this one we're going to be taking a look at Nintendo's recent announcement of a new Nintendo Labo kit. Now, as all of you are aware, Nintendo released their Nintendo Labo kit back in April. The first one was a variety kit, which had different things from a fishing hook to a bike to all sort of interesting stuff. Excuse me. And of course, they also released the robot kit, which used the basic hookup together to make you look like a giant robot and so forth. While it certainly hit the NPD charts and did pretty well, though it obviously didn't sell like gangbusters as some people thought it was going to. But obviously Nintendo is not giving up on it, as they have planning to release a new Nintendo Labo called, if I can get it up there, the new vehicle kit, though. According to an article on Nintendo Life, again, link will be in the description, Nintendo has just revealed a new Labo adventure will arrive on September 14th for the price of $69.99, $70. The Nintendo Labo Toy-Con 3 vehicle kit contains materials to build a variety of customizable Toy-Cons, including a car, submarine, plane, pedal, and 2 keys. Once constructed, these cardboard creation provides access to varieties of fun games and activities. It also explains all the parts and materials necessary need for it, though. Nintendo Labo originally arrived on the Switch in April with the release of Toy-Con Variety Kit and Toy-Con Robot Kit. The vehicle kit is the third pack to be announced. Doug Bowser, Nintendo of America's Senior Vice President of Sales and Marketing, says the company was excited to offer a fun gameplay experience with the latest kit and was looking forward to seeing Nintendo Labo community continue to grow. I never really got into the whole Labo or anything like that. I thought it was an interesting idea. I just did not know if it was going to take off or not. And obviously it did pretty well, just nothing huge or spectacular. And this new one that they showed, based off some of the trailers they showed for it, I will admit does look interesting though. The whole car driving one though, I do get the feeling that with that one out, it's only a matter of time before we see an update for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and we see basically that you can use the steering wheel and the foot pedal. battle though. As far as the plane, the submarine one, again, those are interesting, but like anything, in order for me to see the Nintendo Labo really thrive and succeed, it has to have strong, support. So it needs games other than the activity games collection that comes with these Nintendo Labos. I mean, it's the same thing with I have with the Variety Kit to even the Robot Kit though, which obviously right now you only have basically that robot game. Although I do think like a Rampage or a Godzilla-like game would work best with this one. For the vehicle one, I think driving games would be the best one out there. Perhaps not only with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but I would love to see if, say, V-Rally 4 supports that as well. As far as the submarine and the plane one, though, that would be kind of interesting to see how that one works out. The plane one, I could see maybe if Nintendo ever releases a brand new Pilot Wing would be nice, or even say if, and this is just a long shot, I don't know if this will ever happen, if Nintendo had Bandai Namco release, say, an Ace Combat game that also has support for the Labo as well. That, using the whole pilot stick and that kind of stuff. Submarine, not sure unless Nintendo decides to do a Switch version of, say, I think it was that submarine game, that Steel Dive, if I'm saying that incorrectly, if they ever bring that game back to be exact. So it's nice that that Nintendo is continuing to support the Nintendo Labo, but the big thing is going to be having support for it for a while, including having games that will support it though. So I think maybe this one will probably get a lot of support, especially with a lot of the driving games and so forth. So hopefully we'll see how this one plays out. Maybe this one will do well over the holidays. Maybe it won't. We'll just have to wait and see. And it will be interesting to see if Nintendo continues support with other Labos. Like, I think there was one I saw when they originally announced it. I think that was the one with the gun. Which, honestly, if they were to bring, like, say, on-rail shooter games over, like maybe another Duck Hunt or Hogan's Alley, which I hear that they recently filed a trademark in Japan, or if they let third-party developers, like what about Bandai Namco bringing the Time Crisis series, or Sega bringing the House of the Dead or the Virtual Cop over as well, using, if they bring that Toy-Con, the one that's shaped like a gun to be exact. That would be interesting. So overall, looks like we're getting a new Nintendo Labo for the fall. Though it's going to be the vehicle kit though. Whether this one takes off or not, we'll have to wait and see how that one plays out. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to our fourth and final story, and this one has to do with the future of Bioware and one of the comments the recent, I think, departed developers had to say about the company so far. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with the fourth and final part of our My 2 Cent video for this week, and this one has to do with Bioware and its possible future. As some of you are aware, Bioware is currently working on the upcoming game Anthem, which some have viewed in a way kind of almost looks very similar to Destiny. Now, that game has gotten some criticism from some people, while others have praised the game. Others feel like that there is a change, that this is not the BioWare that they grew up with, to the fact that many feared that if this game bombs, though, that BioWare will suffer the same fate that EA has done with other studios. Not to mention, BioWare's last game, Mass Effect Andromeda, didn't exactly get the greatest praise, and there was certainly a lot of drama behind it, from the support reports of indoor politics going on, to the game did not run great on Unreal Engine 4, to a lot of things. I thought there were some good ideas with the game. It just felt like something that could have stayed in the oven, or could have been worked on a bit more than what they currently released it as. Well, according to one of the former BioWare developers who is currently leaving BioWare, he believes that, quote, BioWare's future doesn't hang on Anthem's success, says developer, and this is from an article from Screen Rant. I'll have a link in the description. It says, former BioWare developer James Ohlen, O-H-L-E-N, I apologize if I'm saying his name incorrectly, doesn't believe the company's future as a game developer under Electronic Arts will be impacted by how successful Anthem is. Bioware is not too worried about EA shutting it down for some reason. The upcoming game fails, even though there has been some rumors going around about that. Anthem is one of the most ambitious titles for Bioware to date. It's an online action RPG that features stunning visuals and offers a new approach and gameplay style than most of the studio's previous title. Anthem will put players in the role of a freelancer, a brave adventure seeker to explore what done an exoskeleton suit called the Jarvan, Javelin. The Jarvan allows players to fly through landscapes, climb through mountain terrains, and customize each suit to the player's liking. When exploring, the player will also face space-time event called Sharp Storms that they could fly into. The former Bioware senior creative director spoke to Game Informer about what Anthem's success, or lack thereof, could mean for the future of the studio at EA, mostly because the publisher has been quite adapted at shutting down acclaimed studios under their umbrella, such as visual games. He said, quote, "The more successful that a studio has, the more freedom and resource that it has. So obviously BioWare wants to have success with Anthem because it will be good for the studio at whole. However, I think EA, apologize I said that wrong, is looking for BioWare to be a long-term part of the company. I think EA really respects what BioWare brings to it. BioWare is a lot different than all the other aspects of its business, so even if Anthem doesn't do as well, and I think it's going to be great, but if it doesn't do gangbusters, I don't think that's the end of BioWare. I think it will certainly be a chance for BioWare to learn some lessons and apply it to the next game that comes out." Honestly, and I've heard from some YouTubers about this, and honestly, I'm not 100% convinced on that. While it is possible that Anthem could become a success, and it's also possible that even if the game somehow doesn't perform as well, that BioWare could survive in a way, much like we saw with DICE, I think with some of the cases with Battlefield, with like Battlefield to be exact. I'm not 100% convinced about this, and this has to do with a lot of EA's history though. Let us not forget this is the same company that shut down Maxis after the debacle of the mess that was SimCity, something that EA wanted to do, this whole always online, that a single player mode would not even work, and by the time they decided to add an offline mode and single player mode, it was too little too late. Let's not forget this is the same company that had Mythic Entertainment work on Dungeon Keeper Mobile, a free-to-play or free-to-wait kind of game that's garnished a whole lot of backlash to the point that EA shut down Mythic Entertainment. Let's also not forget this is the same company that shut down Visceral Games and had them take that single-player Star Wars game and turn it into like a games as a service. Of course, we all saw what happened with Battlefront 2. Not to mention there were reports that after the Battlefront 2 debacle that they had to rework a lot of things into Anthem, mostly because of the whole backlash with it in terms of the microtransactions and so forth. Honestly, I mean, it's possible, but given EA's history, I'm not convinced. I have a feeling that if Anthem were to fail, and there's a good chance it could, but we'll have to wait and see, but if Anthem fails, I have a feeling EA will do what EA is known for. They will throw that studio under the bus, and they will basically shut it down for good. I would not be surprised if that happens at all. And if the game somehow does well, I think that's great, although I wouldn't be surprised if EA decides to change BioWare's name and all that stuff. But overall, I'm not 100% convinced with that particular comment saying that if Anthem fails that BioWare will still be there or anything like that. Like I said, given EA's history, I am not 100% convinced at all. I could be wrong, and that may actually happen, but I'm not buying it. So we'll see how Anthem plays out. I honestly am not in a hurry to buy the game because I don't trust a lot of stuff that EA has put out. Maybe when the price goes down, maybe when it goes into bargain bins, I'll wait and see how things play out, especially with the online part. But I am not 100% convinced with the comment that Bioware would survive if Anthem were to somehow fail at all. Okay, this concludes this My 2 Cent video for this week. And again, these are my opinion, but what are yours? What are your thoughts about Octopath Travelers continuing to sell out and people in Japan having a hard time with it though? Do you think this is a sign that the game is way more successful than people realize? Do you think that Square Enix will get a hold of the supply and demand situation, or do you think we'll expect to see more apologies from them down the road? And do you think this could create a situation where people just give up and basically go download it off the Nintendo eShop? Or do you think that they'll just give up altogether in terms of even trying to get Octopath Traveler? What are your thoughts about this update with the Unreal 4.20, Unreal Engine for 4.20? You think this is a good thing? Do you think this is great for the Nintendo Switch getting this? Do you think this will make development for the game easier, difficult? And what about the whole thing about this Uncanny Valley, this Siren demo that they showed off that's part of Unreal Engine 4.20? Do you think this can open the door to how we visually how we look at video games? Do you think it will have an impact? Do you think it will not have an impact? Are you looking forward to seeing developers use this kind of visuals, or do you have some concerns about it? What are your thoughts about Nintendo's vehicle Labo though? Do you think this one will do well? Do you think there's a good chance we could see more support for it? Do you think that this will be more successful than the Variety Kit or the Robot Kit? Or do you think it will be just as successful as the Variety? It will sell just the way that Variety Kit and the Robot Kit sold? Or do you think this one will flop, to be exact? And what are your thoughts about the comments made about the possibility that or this comment that this developer made about Bioware will survive even if Anthem somehow doesn't succeed? Do you think he's right about that? Do you think he's wrong about that? Do you have confidence that Bioware will be able to survive this if Anthem does not succeed at all? Or do you think that if Anthem were to fail, Bioware will suffer the same fate as other developers that were bought under EA? Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off on the comment section below. Let me know what you think. I hope you hit that like button if you're watching this on YouTube, and I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. Which, if you do subscribe to my YouTube channel, make sure you hit the bell icon for notifications of new videos that come out. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You can do it through PayPal me or Patreon. I'll have a link in the description of this video. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that will be soon. Until then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good day then. Bye!